ask questions. Hello and welcome to the Offshoot. I'm your host, Sean Nelson. Today, I am very excited about this new episode of the Offshoot because I have three chefs on, and we are going to be talking about food. And the main topic of this conversation is what makes food good. So let's jump right into this. We have Chef Sherise. She's the owner of Sweet Sage Catering. We also have Steven German, who is the owner of Palate202 Catering. And we also have Chef Maine. All are located here in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. And today we're going to be talking again about what makes food good. But let's start with the first question. The first question I'm going to pose to Chef Sherise. So, Sherise, do we eat well in the United States of America?
Do we eat well? And by well, you mean healthy or
Healthy and just well in general. Yeah.
um I think I feel for the most part for me, yes, but I am fully aware that based on where um a person may be located and their economic background can definitely determine how well or healthy someone eats.
And Stephen, what about you? Do you think that we eat well in this country?
Yes, I think we do. Think we do eat well based on economic provision, like where we can source local ingredients like fresh fruits and vegetables. So I think so. I think so.
Okay, then I'm going to also pose this question to Chef Maine as well. Do we eat well in this country?
Hmm. Well,
And
we all
what?
know that well is relative.
Yeah.
Um, but in terms of, I would say, good quality produce,
Mhm.
without all of the added um, preservatives and things like that, I say no.
Yeah.
I think we eat to survive,
Yeah.
but even as it relates to flavors and um, different types of cultures, I think we stole a lot. So like I've been and we've been traveling. I think a lot of the countries, other places they eat well. And when I say well, I mean some of the better organic fruits and vegetables without the added cost.
Okay.
Uh, I think they eat well in terms of less less what's the word I'm looking for? Processed foods.
Okay.
Um, and they eat well based off being able to grow a lot of the herbs and spices naturally,
Mm.
whereas some of our things have been, tainted with.
Yes.
Yeah,
Most of us are not on the farm anymore. Okay.
correct.
Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
Stephen, you're from the Caribbean originally. Did you agree with Chef Maine?
Yes, I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I've traveled a lot as well. And one thing that I have always come to appreciate about traveling around the world is trying food with the local folks, not just going to the high-end restaurants, but also going to the holes in the wall places and just to try something different. So with that being said, okay, give me your definition of what is good food. Let's start with you, Sharice.
Good. Good food for me would I'm definitely a person that eats with their eyes first. But it's also quality. Um, and when I say quality, yes, fresh ingredients definitely. Um, and how I've gotten into this phase of life of identifying how I feel after I
Mhm.
eat a meal. Um, so that plays a part for me. Um, and definitely um, what it's going to do to my body and how I'm going to feel after and the nutritional value of it. So some things that I grew up eating, I don't particularly eat that much anymore, or I have changed the way that it's prepared for me. Um, so those are the things for me. Taste, definitely, an appearance, but mainly how I'm gonna feel after I eat it.
Okay, let me ask you this question. So, is smell, aroma, is that an indication of good food?
I think the smell and aroma is not necessarily an indication of it being good, but it is going to be one of the first things that awakens your senses to want to try it because we've all been places where something smells good,
Hmm.
but it may have not been prepared in such a way, like it could be lacking flavor, such as um, it could be lacking seasoning. I'm just gonna say that. Um, but I think smell is a good start that invites a person to want to try a dish.
And Chef Maine, what about you? So, how would you define good food? What is good food? What is your
Um, my definition
definition?
of good food to me is all about emotions. Like what does or how does the food make you feel when you're eating it? Because again, like good and taste is all relative, but how does it make you feel inside when you're eating the food? Um, because I could like spaghetti and fried catfish, like
Mhm.
that is good food to me. But somebody else may not like it. So I think to me it's all about emotions. It's all about uh, taste, preference,
Mhm.
uh, if you will. Um, that's how I would define good food. Emotions and
Yeah.
preference. Yeah.
But like an example, though, many folks can make macaroni and cheese or mac and cheese, but not all mac and cheese is equal. Okay, so what makes one mac and cheese good and what makes another not so good?
So you can have like the greatest chef cooking one of the most high-end mac and cheese, depending on what type of cheese they use,
Mhm.
some of the most expensive cheese, and to them, that's good. But to me, that mac and cheese doesn't make me feel like the mac and cheese my grandmother made, where she just used Kraft and, some heavy cream or something like that. So it's all about preparation, it's all about preference. And again, it's just all about emotions, essentially, and how does it make you feel?
So is there anything universal about what makes food good, no matter where you're from, no matter what your ethnic background is?
Community. Sometimes the community, sometimes the people that you're actually breaking bread with
Mhm.
makes the difference in enjoying the food.
Okay, I get that. And Chef Steven, what about you? So give me your definition of, or define for me what makes food good. How would you describe that?
Good food to me is the quality of the products. Like, you can't just go to a store and grab some tin canned food and want to make it good food. It's not going to be the same as a fresh local vegetables or ground preparation. And then you make it to be taste tasteful,
Hmm.
flavorful, all the spice, all the herbs, and a good marinade. Once you marinate that protein overnight, you're good to go. That will make you a bomb chef.
So Sherise mentioned earlier about seasoning, and you just mentioned some things as well about seasoning. Is there a difference between, and I'm going to get a little bit cultural here, is there a difference between what Black Americans, Black folks around the world think of as good food versus other cultures, particularly those of European descent? Now, of course, I know that I've had some great Indian food, I've had some great Thai food, I had some great Mexican food, but is there a difference for us Black Americans, Black folks around the world would say this is good food versus, say again, with mac and cheese as an example, maybe they only use two types of cheese versus four types of cheese. Maybe they didn't bake it in the oven at the right temperature versus just stirring it on the top on the pot. So is there a difference? Does culture in general compared to say other cultures, does that make food good compared to other cultures?
Yes, it does. It really does. Like in the European or the British area versus the Caribbean. Caribbean use more spices and herbs to like marinate all their proteins. In the British or the European space part of it, they
Hmm.
just basically using salt, pepper to marinate their proteins.
Okay. So let me dive deeper into this for all of you all. Is it just the spices and the marinades that make the food good, or is there something else to it? Now, you all mentioned that it's the emotions, it's the environment, etc. So I want to try to get deeper into this in terms of
It's,
like what is it when you're like like answer this question. What
sometimes it's
I'm sorry, go ahead.
always sometimes it's the passion of the chef that makes
Mhm,
the food good. It's that extra bit of time that they took to care for the preparations of and how they handle the ingredients. Sometimes it's
mhm,
just the love and the passion that comes through from the chef or the cook. Because we have a lot of chefs.
mhm.
And like sometimes I feel like there's a difference between the chef and the cook, where a chef um, can be, school graduated culinary school, whereas sometimes a cook, like it's in their heart. It's a part of who they were. They've been cooking all their life. They've learned or self-taught,
Mhm.
um, and the passion sometimes is different. The fire that they have is
Yeah.
different. Um, so I I say this, like when I cook, there's not one person that said they have not tasted the love in my food. I
Mm,
give the same quality if I'm
yeah.
cooking for 5 people as I'm cooking for 250 people.
Yeah.
It's the same labor of love that I put inside my cooking.
So you mentioned things about family. So let me ask you this then. This is for everyone. Of course, we all have grandmothers. Mine is gone to a better place, but I have memories of her food being good because, we're on the farm. We had our own chickens, we had our own garden, we had goats, we had all of that. So when I think about her food from my childhood, was her food really good, or is it my memories that are making her food good? Jump in, anyone.
My
It
grandmother
it
couldn't cook to save her life. Now, but I appreciate her trying to. I appreciate her, wanting to cook. We have a huge family.
Yeah.
So I have around roughly about 60 first cousins. So we
Wow.
have a huge family. So like she would get some of us not all at the same time. She'll get some of us on the weekend and share put these dishes together.
Mhm.
And the kids ate. I'm hungry for the weekend because I knew the food wasn't good. I appreciate the effort, but yeah, she couldn't cook.
And
So it's more about the memories
yeah,
than the food being good.
the food itself. And you, Sharice, you're about to say something there?
No, I am thankful for my childhood and being able to know all of my grandmothers, my great grandmother, my regular grandmother, and they all could cook, and they all had gardens in North Carolina. My maternal grandmother, she had chickens. Well, yeah, she had chickens. My great grandmother had chickens and pigs. Um, but yes, they all could cook. I mean, when we went to my maternal grandmother's house, it's like, okay, if we get there on Friday, we know she's gonna fry fish. Down in North Carolina, there used to be we used to call him the fish man who would, come on, he would have his truck and he
Yeah.
would come to your house and you would pick whatever fish you want. And we knew she was gonna make some fish and some fried potatoes with onions and some cabbage and some cornbread and, if it were fried chicken, She really just seasoned her chicken with salt and pepper. And, it was amazing. I remember when we moved to Virginia from North Carolina, my mother tried seasonal and she took her some, took my grandmother some, and she was like, "What is that? I'm not using this." But it was just simple. And she used to make biscuits with her hands, no rolling out. It was just
Yep.
mixed in a bowl and shaped it. So yes, and that's where I spent a lot of my time. Just sitting watching them. My great grandmother, if she would kill a pig, she would take it to the whatever they would call it, some type of house, the slaughterhouse, and get whatever. And she would come back home and make sausage. And she had a smokehouse in her backyard. So I
We,
have great memories.
yeah, we grew
of,
up very similarly because we had the same thing. So we had hogs, and I think it was like August or October. They would kill the largest hog and take it to my grandmother's backyard, and they would slaughter it. And as you said, we would have a sausage, we would have
Mhm,
our hog crackling, we would have
mhm.
pig feet. So we had all of that for the rest of the fall season from that one hog. But so, Stephen, what about you? So the memories.
Yeah, the memories back home in Jamaica when I grew up with my great grand aunt, it was great. It was great memories. It was that's where I got the passion from of
Mm,
becoming a cook to a chef. The passion is like love. Like we grew callaloo, we grew bok choy, we grew scotch bonnet peppers, and we just go to the backyard from all those garden planted vegetables and fruits, and we just prepare special meals. Like
mhm,
my grandmother, she's from the Indian side, and grandfather's from the Indian side, so we normally do like roti, like the flour roti,
mm.
and we raise like pigs, cows, goats, so we always have provided food for our family. Make like curry goat, we kill a goat, we clean the belly, we make like a stew just like the Americans. You guys make chitlins, we did the same thing with goat meat. We
Oh
clean the
wow.
belly, we
I
make.
never heard of goat chitlins before.
No.
Yeah, so we make that with like a soup, and we make it like curry powder. We make our own curry powder with all the spices like turmeric, cumin. We make all the good aroma of seasoning for our family household.
So let me ask you.
So
So go
so
ahead.
yeah, the memories is still there, and that's what drive me to become a chef.
Awesome. I love that. And so let me ask you this. I'll start with you again, Stephen. So what does it mean to you when you hear the phrase or when someone gives you the phrase, I put my foot in this, or my grandma put her foot in this. So what does that mean to you when you hear that phrase?
It's like you put your foot in it. It's like you get that goat meat and you marinate it for like 24 hours with all your scotch bonnet pepper, your green onions, all the curry powder, all the spice. It's like overnight soaking, overnight marinating. And that day, when that day arrives and you start cooking, that whole vent in the kitchen, the neighborhood smell that food. They're like, that boy is put his foot in that food. So it is good. It is good.
Yeah. What about you, Cherise? So what does it mean to
Uh,
you when you hear that phrase, I put my foot in this?
I think for me, it means that you're enjoying it all around. Um, and um, the emotions when you eat it, like if it's really good, you're sitting there with the plate of food and you're like,
Mhm.
look, don't one bother me right now. Like I just wanna be all into this plate and enjoy it. And where you feel the love that's been used, or the thoughtfulness of it, of whoever prepared it. I feel like that a lot of times, at the holidays, particularly like if I go to my mom's house,
Mhm.
um, I make cornbread dressing, but I love my mom's cornbread dressing. And I remember, one Thanksgiving I went somewhere else, and I was just like, there was no cornbread dressing, and I called it. I was like, because I think she had gone out of town and I was here. And I said, "Hey, when are you coming back? Could we have Thanksgiving next week?" And she just laughed because, it's nostalgic, but it also, I know when she makes it, she's gonna make it with love, and there's just enough, sage and thyme, and I like a lot of black pepper in it. So it's just it's an overall all around feeling of taste and emotions,
Mhm.
particularly love that's been poured into making it
Yeah,
or
and I really
making
do
whatever
feel
the dish
you.
is.
Yeah, I feel you when it comes to that dressing because my mother, she used to make very good dressing, and I say past tense because she has stopped making it. And I tried to copy her recipe because she doesn't write anything down. And I'm like, my goodness, I want that dressing again. So yeah, I feel you on that one. Yes. So Chef Maine, so to you, what does it mean?
Um,
You heard that phrase.
when I hear the phrase, especially if it's about me, you know how you make a diamond, you apply pressure. You
Hmm.
make wine, you're stepping on grapes, you're applying pressure. So every time I hear I put my foot on, like I apply pressure to those pots and pans, to all of those ingredients to come up with whatever dish it was. And it's self-gratifying, especially to sit back and just watch people enjoy your food and
Yeah.
take it in, and the faces that they make, the expressions that they have, the emotions that they give, that deep sigh where they just sink into their seat because they're enjoying it so much. So when I think of like I put my foot in that, um, they're walking away satisfied. They yeah, they found peace in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a chef. Like I said, I do cook a lot for myself and for friends when I host small parties. And it does feel good when someone tells me that, that was really good, Sean. But let me ask you all this, and I'll start with you, Chef Maine. Whenever I host a gathering and I do the cooking, I'm always nervous. I'm always scared that something's not going to turn out right. So when you are preparing meals for your clients, 'cause I know you do a lot of catering. Uh,
Mhm.
do you ever get nervous or scared that something might not come out right?
Every time.
Mm.
Every time. I put the same efforts, I have the same nerves every single time until I take that spoon, taste it, and if I slam it in the sink, we're good. If I throw it in the trash, it's a no. But yes, every single time, like I never, excuse me, as well as a cook that I believe that I am, I
Mhm.
don't ever want to get too comfortable where, you know, I I'm too relaxed or too relaxed in the process and I don't give it the same quality, don't give it the same time, don't
Yeah.
give it the same effort every single time. So I'm always nervous up until it is time to plate it, up until it's time to put it in the pan,
Yeah.
up until it's time to deliver it, because at that point, then I know I've done my best.
Yeah. And
And
what,
that's all I'm going to give.
yeah. And I appreciate the whole lot. And I look forward to sampling some of your food one day.
I got you.
Okay. And Chef Steven, what about you? Do you ever get nervous? Because I've seen you work on more than one occasion and you are working. And I'm telling you, I mean, I'm impressed every time I see you and see what you do for other people. Because everyone has always said that your food's been great. So do you ever get nervous or scared that something might not come out right?
Yeah. Sometimes there's a nerve scaredness of making sure that all the quality and the appearance of the food and the display, like when you know that the display is ready, then you know it's ready.
Mm. And Cherise, what about you? So do you get nervous when you are catering for your clients?
Um, I think it depends. It depends on the scale. I don't necessarily feel like I'm ever really nervous for food. I think my nervousness is time.
Mm.
Because it's very easy to get what we would say is behind or in the weeds. but not necessarily nervous in terms of taste or appearance.
Hmm. Okay. Well, let's switch gears a little bit here and go into some history. So, like I said, I've been a foodie, I guess you can say, for some years now. And I've noticed that, at least here in DC, over the last few years, what used to be considered peasant food is now considered high-end food. You're seeing things like ham hocks and collard greens in some high-end restaurants. So, Sharice, answer this question first. What is peasant food, and is peasant food good, and is it now considered high-end?
What is peasant food? Peasant food, I think it would be those foods that um, probably I grew up eating as a child, what my grandparents came up eating. So, like you said, ham hock, um, oxtails, which are super popular everywhere.
Yes.
Um, and yes, they have marketed it very well because oxtails are super expensive now. They didn't used to be that way. Even there are places that you can go and they have, you know, chicken foot. It is now high end because I think people um they're more inclined to want to try new things,
Hmm.
um, which makes it more appealing to people of different cultures.
Yeah. And Chef Steven, what about you? Because like I said, I've gone to restaurants, and I remember years ago going to a place and they had collard greens on the menu, and I was taken aback by the price of the collard greens. So for you, how would you define peasant food, and is peasant food good food, and do you like seeing it in high-end places?
Yeah, peasant food is to me is like simple and healthy ingredients that available for everyone, uh, and not so expensive. It need to be available for everyone. Um, Food like when I grew up, remember growing up in Jamaica, the same oxtail it was like cheap price. And now living in America, you get a case of oxtail for like $150. That's like maybe
Wow.
10 or 15 pounds. So it should be available for everyone to afford it.
And that's not the case anymore.
And that's not the case anymore. It's like skyrocketing.
Hmm.
Even I have a place for you to go to get your 20-pound box of oxtails for 142.
Really?
Already trimmed, fat, so you're getting true 20 pounds of oxtails. I got you.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so Chef Maine, then, so how would you describe peasant food, and is it good food, and do you like seeing it in high-end restaurants now?
Um, from what I understand or what I understood growing up, peasant food was for poor people. Started off when slavery, when the colonizer, the whites would give their slaves like the leftovers.
Mhm.
And then our ancestors taking the leftovers and making a meal out of it. What they didn't know was that we can do it all. we, our ancestors, they could do it all. They can take little and make a lot. And that's when you get into the question earlier about the aromas and the smells. So
Mhm.
they started to smell and like, oh, that's not what was cooked in a house. What is that? That type of thing. But I think peasant food being in high-end restaurants, and at the high-end prices, I think it's crazy. Everybody want to capitalize off of our culture, I believe, where we take those things like at one point we could get oxtails for $2.99 a pound, and they're going for $13.99 a pound.
Wow.
Um, One thing, chicken backs, they used to be something that was thrown out. Now people are using them in broths, making, you know, um, broths and all types of soups and things with them. Like because one, there's nutrition value in it, and it's a lot of flavor.
Hmm.
So, collard greens, it's the price. It doesn't have to be that high. One, because it's taking the prices up in the grocery stores as well.
Yeah.
So once was affordable is coming not affordable. And couple that with, the quote unquote fresh fruits and vegetables and people saying that they can't eat healthy because of how high some of those things are.
Hmm.
Now they're taking what was affordable up in price because now the high end restaurants are serving these things in the restaurants. So no, I don't think they should be. I think there should be some sort of you can't have it all. Either you're going to charge us high for the fresh fruits and organic vegetables, and allow these other things or peasant foods to be at a lower cost, or vice versa. But you can't monopolize it all.
Yeah. I would tell you, if I ever see field peas with okra in a high-end restaurant, I don't know what I'm going to do. Because-
So I've seen them.
Really?
I've seen okra in high end restaurants.
With field peas or just
Uh,
okra?
Just the okra,
Just the okra, maybe fried okra for like appetizer, and they're
my
like
appetizers. Yes,
$17, $20.
$20
Yeah.
Oh,
because they probably chopped up some peppers and threw some sort of balsamic glaze over them, and now voila, you have this $18 appetizer of fried okra.
Fried okra, yes.
crazy.
Sean, I had a question.
Uh-huh.
So what how much were the collard greens?
I think they were like 11 or $12, something like that. And it's a side item.
That's cheap.
Well, was it a
Cheap.
shareable? I mean, because when you think
I
about it, I mean, you think about the time that it takes. Well, for me, like when I make collard greens, I'm not getting them already chopped up. I'm going to the store, I'm picking them up, I'm bringing them back, I'm de-stemming them, I'm rolling them up, I'm cutting them, I'm washing them about 3 or 4 times to make sure you're not eating any sand. So I know we look at the price of the product, but we also
Mhm.
have to look at the time that it takes to prepare it. And
Mhm.
I think that's a lot of times people don't consider that. They're just like, oh, well, they're greens for you can get a bunch for $1.50 at Food Line, but what about the time? And then, depending on the meat that you're using in stock for the seasoning, it does add up. But yeah, field peas are expensive now too, and butter beans. So don't think you
Yeah.
can just go. Yeah, like
I
my mom, I said to my mom, "Can you get some butter beans on the way back from North Carolina?" She's like, "Do you know how much a gallon of butter beans cost?"
Yeah.
Yeah, because like things that we used to do, well, things that I recall doing in my younger years,
Yeah.
you would just
In the
sit on
back
your
porch.
grandmother's porch and you would shell some and you would like fill peas with snaps. Like, and that was free labor, but now you have to pay someone to do those things.
Yes.
I've
And
seen collard greens $18 as a side
wow.
Mm-hmm.
in a
That's
restaurant
true.
in DC.
Mm,
That's
well, that's a, you know what?
I mean,
I went to a particular restaurant and they have collard greens. Um, and they're
But it
not
comes
prepared
good.
the traditional way, but I think that I
and,
got more of the
the traditional way is again with rolling it up and then cutting it where it's not fat, but the string,
right,
yeah. So yeah.
right. And with all of the other ingredients in it, I felt like I got more of the other
Ingredients in the
ingredients
collard greens.
compared to the collard greens.
Mm.
Yeah,
yeah, it's
but
time and preparation to do colored greens because back at my restaurant, we do like maybe 5 cases or 10 cases of colored green. And the way how we prepare it, it take time and preparation.
mhm.
Mm.
So, and then you have all the other seasoning and chopped onion, those onions, you got to chop them. So it is time and preparation. So,
Yeah, but is it good? Because when I think about collard greens, when my grandmother prepared them, I'm like, oh, I miss those greens because she would eat her collard greens with cornbread. So my grandmother was
Hmm.
eating Black Indian, and so she'd make her own cornbread, add some in a cast iron skillet, and she'll make her collard greens like the traditional way. And she would just like use her fingers, her three fingers, three her fingers, and sop it up the collard greens and eat it that way. But it was good. But I have never had collard greens in a restaurant as good as what my grandmother prepared.
Mm-mm.
Me either. Well, I haven't had collard greens as good as I prepare. So yeah, but
I mean, sometimes when you get a feeling like, okay, I want to make some collard greens. So I made some a couple weeks ago and I had some left over and I actually gave some to one of my friends and they were like, these, and they lived out of state and they were like, these collard greens are good. And it was like, okay, every day they were eating the greens and they got to the last day like, I'm on my last I'm on my last serving of greens now. Like I'm so mad about it. But yeah,
So in other words,
yeah.
you put your foot in it.
I put my foot in it. And they were made with turkey. I'm sorry. They weren't made with pork
Ah,
this go around. They
so,
were made with turkey.
so no neck bones or no ham hocks went into those greens.
No, well, no, no.
yeah,
When
I
I go
stopped.
to, yeah, because I mean, we're all getting older. Sometimes certain things give me heartburn. I'm gonna just be honest. So I'm trying to identify the triggers. Not that I eat pork. Don't get it wrong. I do, but I eat them like that when my mother prepares. So
Yeah. And Chef Man, you're about to say something there?
No, I would just say I don't use the ham hocks anymore either. Only because, with catering, you have a lot of people, oh, we don't eat pork, or
mhm.
so I just got into the habit of just making it with smoked turkey,
Mm.
or no meat at all.
Mm. Yeah, I'm still trying to learn how to make good collard greens. Right now, I'm using basically a olive oil and and vinegar. So I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay, yep. That ain't it,
We can
but
help, right? We can
we can
help
help
you.
you.
We can help you.
Yeah, we definitely will.
Okay, so let's switch gears and talk about desserts. Um, I don't have a big sweet tooth, but I do love a good dessert. And like I said earlier, I have been in DC for many years, and I'm still hard pressed to find a really good dessert, particularly a good cake, a good pie, like we had down south, like in the Carolinas. And Sharice, I'm sure you can relate to this. We had like the best lemon pound cake, we had
Mhm.
the best coconut cake, we had the best sweet potato pie, we had the best pecan pie, peach cobbler. Uh, I don't feel like we have that anywhere in this part of the country, or maybe in the States in general. You know.
I think people have gotten so accustomed to store-bought desserts and quick desserts and instant desserts um, that they don't. And I've also come to realize there are a lot of people who um, may have grown up in households where people didn't cook, so this is what they know. Like,
Mhm.
they're okay with going to buy a pie from Walmart and they think it's good. But for
Pat
me,
LaBelle.
Like that patty pie.
I'm like,
I don't,
I don't
I
know.
don't, I didn't
No
want to
offense to
say
Pat
that.
LaBelle, but I don't know how to eat it. I don't know how to eat it. I just can't
Oh
do it.
God,
Right.
ain't
You
no
know,
way.
so I mean, when I was growing up, that was the thing. My mother has always made pies and cakes and, you know, holidays. It's like she makes tons of sweet potato pies.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna start off with real ingredients. So we're gonna use some real butter. We're gonna use some real vanilla.
Mm.
Um, when you're talking about the peach cobbler, back in the day, people used to have peach trees and they would can the peaches and those type of things. Um, but now people, like I said, people are taking shortcuts, but for me, it's really about time.
Mhm.
Um, and since, part of my business is baking, I really try to do um, as much things as, from scratch that I can, and have it be the same all the time. I've had customers who order, a cake or cupcake, and they'll be like, I can't eat it all. And I'll say, hey, just wrap it and put it in the freezer. And they'll call and say, girl, I just pulled that that slice of cake out of the freezer,
Two
that you
months
made
ago.
2 months ago. And it still tastes the same as the day that you gave it to me when I had my first bite. Um, so I think it's really about ingredients, and definitely time and love and being consistent with things.
Yeah. And Chef Maine, so what about you? So these desserts, are Southern desserts, particularly those Southern desserts that were kind of honed, if you will, by our grandmothers and our mothers, and that made them so good, like a real good dense pound cake or
I think baking from scratch is becoming a lost art. Just because there are so many pre-made things that you can just go buy. You can go buy your pastry dough. You can go get your canned peaches.
Mhm.
I just think it's becoming a lost art. I do not bake. I used to,
Mhm.
and to be honest, I hated it. Baking is a science. And like Chef
Patience.
Sherise, like she's baking from scratch, and so did I. You have one mistake, and it could be off by a half a teaspoon or a half a tablespoon, and the entire dessert is ruined.
Mhm.
So I think I wasted more money than I made more money baking because I'm throwing stuff away. Like you would never taste it, you would never see it. Um, so for me, it was just like, yeah, I leave the baking to those who have a passion behind it. However, if I need to bake a sweet potato pie, which I usually do during the holiday seasons, that's part of my catering menu. I will put out sweet potato pies. I will do that when it comes to baking for clients. For home, I'll do a little bit more because home is more forgiving. Uh, if it don't taste right, I don't have to necessarily throw the whole thing away. Um, but yes, I just think it's becoming a lost art because one, it takes time.
Yeah.
It can't be rushed. If you rushing, don't even attempt.
Yeah. And Stephen, you're about to say something?
Yeah, I'm not a pastry chef, but I can put my foot in the cooking part of it. But pastry is traditional pastry, dessert, peach cobbler, pecan pie, sweet potato pudding, all those traditional desserts,
Mhm.
lemon cake, lemon pound cake. I love a good lemon pound cake. I can put my foot in it, but I'm not that pastry part of it, like the patient, the fine techniques, all those techniques of presenting a pastry, like the icing. I
Yeah.
can do those, but the patient part of it is not who I am.
Yeah. Do
You
you all
gotta
think that I'm sorry, go ahead, Chef Maine.
I was gonna say you just gotta have patience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And our ancestors had the patience. I'm not built like them. I appreciate them
Yeah.
for sure, but yeah,
Yeah, I've tried during the pandemic. I was like, I'm going to learn to bake a lemon pound cake, and I did, and I think I make a pretty damn good one. But it took a lot of
take a
tries.
lot.
Yeah,
It takes
It's
but
a lot. Yes.
when I bake one and it comes out well, and friends of mine, they're like, "Oh, can I buy one or can you make another?" And I'm like, no, because I get scared every time. I get nervous that it's never going to come out right. So I always say no to baking a pound cake for my friends because I'm scared.
Mhm.
But let me ask you all this. Um, I think that desserts, cakes these days are too sweet. Is that part of the problem? Sharice, why don't you answer that question first?
Yes, that's part of the problem. And I think it may not necessarily be because of the cake portion, but more so the icing portion. Um, because of okay, for me, when I bake a cake and you want it frosted, you're getting real butter. You're getting buttercream, and it's just gonna be butter, a little bit of salt, the powdered sugar, some heavy cream, and vanilla extract. But now there's just so many hidden ingredients,
Hmm.
and that a lot of people are using, store-bought frosting, or they're making frosting with shortening. So I'm about to get in the whole science part of it, but when you look at shortening compared to butter, the density of it is going to take more sugar to actually make it into a frosting as compared to butter. So that could be part of the problem. And like I said, I feel like there are just a lot of hidden ingredients and whatnots that go into some of the baked goods, particularly those that you purchase in stores. But also,
Yeah.
there are people with regular baking businesses that are taking shortcuts also, and people
People
buy
love them.
it. People buy it, and I swear, no matter what I do, I just can't shortcut it.
Yeah.
I can't shortcut it if it's a baked product. I can't shortcut it if it's, a regular food product. Like, for example, if I have an event and I need to clean chicken, I've seen people just like, let me just rinse it, and like, you're not gonna trim off that excess fat, and you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
So I really, like you said before, it's time, and then it really boils down to how um a person wants to display their product, how good they feel about it. Because some people are really into it just for the money. That's not my thing. I
Mhm.
mean, I like money, but I really want my customer to walk away satisfied on all levels, whether it's a food product or if it's a baked product. That's just how I'm gonna be.
Well, I'm just confused that I didn't know that people will make icing out of shortening. And I'm assuming that you mean like Crisco shortening?
Mm-hmm.
They turn into an icing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's heart
Yeah.
clogging.
Yes,
I never knew
yes,
that. I
yes,
don't want
yeah.
that on my cake.
Yeah, but people do it and people eat it.
Ah, we used to fry chicken with Crisco
once you
shortening,
once you put all that sugar in it, you won't taste the shortening part of it.
but shortening is literally lard or I don't know, like worse than lard or something, right?
The sugar will overpower it, so you won't taste it.
Ah, I'm never gonna
But
buy
you'll feel it.
And,
It will feel different on your tongue.
and this
You'll
is
feel
why I
the
don't
difference.
eat sweets. Yeah,
I never knew that.
I don't eat sweets. I don't eat cake. I'm
Same.
Wow.
I just don't have a tooth for it. Essentially,
Yeah.
I'm not a big sweet person at all.
Well, unfortunately, I do have a sweet tooth, so I like my cakes. I love my mother's cobbler, but again, I don't eat it a lot. So, but needless to say, I want to thank you all for giving me your time to talk about what makes food good. I mean, truly thank you all. Um, but tell folks, where can they find you all? Chef Maine, how can
You can
we reach
find
you?
you can find me on Instagram at underscore Maine Maine underscore course Course. So my catering company is Maine Course. And you follow me there, you'll see events and things that I have coming up for the public. I don't just do catering. I also do like I host brunches. I'm having a R&B dinner coming up where I'm doing a collaboration with a concert promoter that's going to be at the end of May. So if you follow me there, that information will be made public next week.
Awesome. Okay, Sherise, and where can folks find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Steven and Chef Maine. Sweet Sage. Look, Sweet Sage LLC. It's all the same name, but it switches between Facebook and Instagram. So my icon, my profile picture is actually kind of like a cartoon version of a strawberry shortcake. So that's where you can find me, or on my website at www.sweetsagecatering.com.
And Chef Steven.
Yeah, you can find me at Instagram _ at Palate202, Facebook Palate202 Catering LLC, and food truck
But thank you.
website.
Okay.
And the website is Palate202 Catering.com.
And I'm going to make sure that everyone gets all this information. It will be posted on the Offshoot Podcast website. It will also be posted wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Everything would be there for the listeners, the viewers, to go and get your content information. So again, thank you all for giving me your time. And to my viewers, to the listeners, thank you for taking your time to listen to this episode of the Offshoot Podcast. Please help me out by subscribing to this channel, liking and following. You can check out the Offshoot Podcast on YouTube. You can find me on Spotify, Amazon, and other places where you get your podcasts. So again, thank you all. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
And when you put your foot in it and call me, so I
Thank
can
you.
eat something.
I got you.
Yep. Thank you.
I don't profess to have the answers. I'm just here to ask questions.